Poor people in Graaff-Reinet in the Eastern Cape are waiting up to 3 months for emergency food parcels. The Social Relief of Distress program is administered by the South African Social Security Agency, SASSA. Its policy states that the normal turnaround time is between 1 and 3 days. But for almost 250 residents, this has not been the case.
The Dutch Reformed Church stands proud in the centre of Graaff-Reinet. It's one of the many sites in South Africa's 4th oldest town, which draws tourists from across the world. But on the outskirts of the CBD and suburbs, the manicured lawns and beautifully renovated buildings fade away. The uMasizake township was established when a group of Amaxhosa, starving from a devastating mass cattle killing, arrived in the mid-1800s. Almost 2 centuries later, some residents are still searching for food. But this morning, Katie Stoffels has to leave her relative's home empty-handed.
Hulle gee vir my. Maar hulle gee my vanoggend net hulle nou nie my kos gegee nie.
She's 57 and too frail to work, but too young for a pension. Once a domestic worker, she's been jobless longer than she can remember. For the past decade or so, Stoffels has lived here in this abandoned, dilapidated municipal house.
Ek het daar onder gebly. So die mense my uit. Toe is daar 'n ander man om namens wat is die man se naam? Toe sê meneer, jy het 'n plekkie vir my. Toe bly, toe sê meneer, kom bly saam met my.
While she's fortunate to have a roof over her head, there's little else.
Nou nie kos.
Nou nie kos nie. Wanneer laas het jy geëet?
Ja, nou eet jy.
Hæ?
Ek het nog nie gebreakfast nie.
Jy het nog nie gebreakfast nie. En gister, wat het jy geëet gister?
Gister. Ja, die het ek daar brood en koffie.
Brood en koffie. Dit wat jy vir die hele dag geëet het?
Ja, hele dag. 1 uur kos.
Daar wat 'n kos?
1 uur kos.
She was in such dire straits, she applied for a food parcel from SASSA in July. Its Social Relief of Distress program has a normal turnaround time of between 1 and 3 days, not 3 months.
Heel veel nog bij is, waar ik nog gekleed. Bij nog sukkel voor kos. Nog sukkel voor kos. En nog kos is nog gekomen. Bij mensen het ingeschreven. Voor die kos. Maar hulle wacht ook nog. Ik wacht ook nog.
Councillor Samantha Graham met Stoffels during a Mandela Day program and has been helping her since.
Knowing that she was only 57, we decided we would try and apply for a disability grant for her. So I took her down to the clinic, and while we were there, they weighed her. And looking at her clinic card, I realized that she had started off a month before she'd weighed 32 kilos. And this month she was 29 on that date. And I realized that some urgent intervention was necessary. This is somebody who's literally starving to death. So I asked for a referral letter to social development, and when I went and spoke to the people at SASSA, they advised me they didn't even need a referral letter. They were prepared to actually apply directly for a food parcel for her.
At least 247 other Graaff-Reinet residents, particularly in uMasizake, face the same predicament. One of those is Vuyokazi Tlengani, who lives in this shack. She tried to register for grants in April for her 2 young children, but the process was delayed since her ID had been stolen. As a stopgap measure, she applied for a food parcel.
I got a call that said, must come and fetch a food parcel. But then at the time, I went to SASA, they said they have a problem that the food parcel didn't arrive. I don't know if it's a delay, what happened. And then I came back home, then I think it's about a week ago, then they called back again. They said I must come and fetch the food parcel. Then I went to SASA and then I fetched it. But I waited, it's about 4 months now to wait for food parcels.
Tsengani also enlisted Graham's help to find out what had gone wrong.
What we've established is that for the Eastern Cape, they have appointed 2 service providers in KwaZulu-Natal and 1 in Gauteng. What this means is that with us being, say, 14 hours drive away from Durban, the service providers are not prepared to deliver 1 or 2 or even 50 food parcels. So ultimately, our office here has to wait until they have sufficient for the service provider to warrant traveling this distance.
But SASA says there's nothing wrong with its service provider appointments.
This was a national tender, and when we appoint as per the tender prescripts. It doesn't matter in terms of the location, but the tender prescripts are very important to be followed to the latter. However, there has been an agreement that there should be some subcontracting, especially if those who are coming from the local area do not have the expertise, but we need to make sure that we partner with them so that they are part of this particular process. However, each and every prescript regarding the tender was followed, and we think that whoever that has been appointed was appointed above board.
SASA says beneficiaries should complain if there are similar problems elsewhere, but for now, it's only aware of delays in Graaff-Reinet.
In terms of the information, the quick information we have at our disposal, there might have been delays, but not to that length of 4 months and so on. But like I'm saying, we are engaged in investigations.
While that investigation continues, darkness falls on Umasizake once more.
Ai, Piripad, Kiri Sabanata, Uniform Frani, and Naxanil come.
Even if just for tonight, her prayers are answered.
The life she is living is not right, because sometimes you see her down the street in towns grabbing the dustbins, and I didn't even know that she's got a family. That was my first time to hear that she's got a family, the way she is living here.
Ai, Mrs. Tira Tana go bakhala mai up. Courses gaan soek. Anandi vra my, ai, hoe jy en elke dag? Ek sê, ai, auntie. Ek moet my afgaan, want ek het die kos.
Graaff-Reinet in the Eastern Cape.